All right. Hi there, Hang Squad. It's Sharon and Lauren again. Welcome to Joy of the Hang. Hey, Lauren.
Hey, Sharon. How are you?
I'm good as always. How are you today?
I'm great. I think we're going to have a fantastic episode today.
Oh, I know we are. We have a guest today, David Blanch. Welcome.
Hello. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, of course. And I met David through a Sarasota Facebook group called, what was it? Oh, Sarasota Word of Mouth. And I was looking for an artist to hand paint a dress that I bought in town that needed a little bit of something. And so you turned it into this amazing piece of art.
Yes, I did.
And I'm so excited to wear it, so I cannot wait.
And I just want to apologize to everyone listening that you cannot see this on video because our current guest is pretty easy on the eye. So sorry, ladies. Sorry.
He's a work of art himself.
We'll talk about it in the next episode when he's not here.
Oh, I like that. Yes, we will. So anyway, David is a local artist here in Sarasota who specializes in, why don't you tell us, what do you specialize in? What kind of art?
I kind of can paint absolutely anything. I don't stick to one thing. Ever since I started, I was just like focused on being able to paint any style, to try and be the best artist I possibly can be in every, genre of art. But I do focus a lot on, doing murals and larger scale works, but I also do a ton of canvas work. Pretty much anything that can be painted, I'll paint,
Well, I think you regretted painting my dress.
Yeah, that was a tough. It was tricky, but I figured it out.
So the dress, when I bought it, it's all black. I will put a picture of it, the before and after. But it's all black. But the top bodice part of it is in the shape of Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse, however you want to interpret it. It's black velvet, and it's kind of lined in, I don't know, leather-ish piping, right?
Right, yeah.
Sort of faux leather piping. And then the bottom half of the dress is all this black tulle, and it had black, like, pom-poms all over it, right?
Wild.
Is that a good way to describe it?
Definitely a wild dress.
It was a wild dress, right? So it was a challenge. So I was like, okay. But when I reached out to David, he said, I am a professional and I can do anything. Bring it on.
Yes, I love it.
Like,
I love a good challenge.
Bring it on.
And I'm just meeting you today, and certainly if I, just met you randomly at a party,
Right.
We all for sure, look at different people and might assume they have a certain job based on their appearance.
Right.
But being an artist, you certainly present yourself, may I say, in an extremely artistic way. You're almost like a piece of art yourself. I'm curious, how many piercings do you have?
Oh, that's a great question.
Just on my face. I mean, I've had my nipples done before, but I took them out, so I just have eyebrow, 3 nose, and just got this done a couple days ago. It's just like a microdermal on my cheek.
Okay, and that's a little like silver cross that's put into your cheek.
Yeah.
How do they do that?
I don't know. It's some kind of like, they go in, they just like anchor it underneath your skin, and I thought it was going to hurt, but it didn't.
Okay, and then it seems like you and I, although I have nothing on today, I wear jewelry similar to you, and that I'm a huge believer in layering large, chunky pieces.
Oh, yeah.
How many pieces of jewelry are you wearing today?
I'm wearing about half of what I usually wear.
Wow.
Yeah, so usually I have a ring on every finger.
I mean, I'm looking at multiple rings, multiple bracelets.
Yeah, everything.
Cool.
Big and chunky, very David Yurman meets Western looking.
Everything's handmade too. Like, I have a lot of jeweler friends, so I'll usually get the stones, bring it to them, bring them my ideas, and they'll create it for me.
Handmade from local artists here in Sarasota?
There's one guy named Misha who works at Otto's Jewelry right here in St. Armand's. He makes me a lot of, he made me my wedding ring. And then there's another girl in St. Pete who makes a lot of my custom stuff.
Yeah, they're very pretty, chunky jewelry that's certainly unique, pretty.
Yeah.
And then let's go to the tattoos.
Tattoos. We cannot not talk
You
about
can't
the
not
tattoos.
yeah,
I
you
mean,
can't.
your body is a canvas
Like,
of art. Right?
I'm almost embarrassed to show you mine, which is a tiny little C and L on my wrist, which is L for me, Lauren, and then C for my twin sister,
That's cool.
Kath, and she has the same one.
I like how it goes together.
Yeah, it's a tiny little, and we have it. She has the exact same one on the exact same place on her wrist.
Cool.
But how many tattoos?
It's uncountable now.
Right.
I mean, I got my first one at 12.
That was going to be my next question. How old?
Yeah, I was 12 years old when I got my first one, and then
Wow.
Are they all black, or do you have any that are color?
No, there's color on his
so
legs.
I have a little bit of color on this one.
Oh, okay.
Mardi Gras.
But yeah, it goes all the way up
Wow.
both sides.
I mean, is there a part of your body that is not covered by a
keep-
tattoo?
I've run out of space.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So, okay,
How do
wow.
we describe this to our listeners?
He's in shorts and
Yeah.
just took his shirt off, and yes, he's completely covered by tattoos.
Is there a theme though, or is it just like?
I mean, recently
the
I started
theme?
blocking out a lot of stuff because it didn't serve me anymore. You
Okay,
know what
I like
mean?
that.
So like I left some things open and then some things, covered up. It wasn't me anymore,
Well, it's interesting you say that, and we're going to talk about addiction later. But I was just reading a whole article about the SNL actor Pete Davidson,
how he
who
removed all
has
of them?
had
Yeah.
over 200 tattoos, and he's been spending time removing them, and he was talking about his addiction, and I think it's very interesting that he used the same words, saying that they didn't serve
Right.
him anymore.
He had a lot of goofy shit though. I think he had
Okay.
just like weird cartoon characters smoking weed, like just like stupid
Stupid shit.
Like,
My twin sister dated a guy who had a big, who was that like foghorn, leghorn, like character, but he had
He's
the
a
big
rooster or
one
something,
on
yeah.
his thigh. Yeah. There were probably a lot of
enjoy.
reasons she shouldn't have married him,
Yeah,
but
right.
that might have been top 5 on the list.
Yeah,
Right?
That's a red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, I mean, now when did you said you got your first tattoo at 12. When did you get your first face tattoo?
Ooh. It was this one, the geometrical pattern here.
Almost looks like an animal print, though, in a way.
I want to say like 6 years ago.
Now, when you go and you get a face tattoo as opposed to on another part of your body,
Right.
do you have a longer discussion with the tattoo artist? Like, do they try and, maybe convince you to not get a face tattoo, or no?
No.
Okay,
With how covered I am, they're just like,
they get it.
yeah.
Do you use the same tattoo artist?
That's a great question.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I have traveled all over and gotten tattoos, from lots of different artists over my lifetime. But there is one guy, Derek, at Hello Tattoo Parlor in town. He does a lot of my work. But yeah, I mean,
I believe it's an art like anything else.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you shouldn't just go to Joe Blow,
Right,
who's giving a deal to give you a tattoo, because it's your body, and besides needing it to be safe, which is important, it's an art like anything
without
else.
a doubt.
Yeah.
And people that just go to get one just to get one, I don't know. It's like, do your research, kind of. There's so many great artists, and like it's kind of like you pay what you get for it too. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's some artists giving deals or whatever, doing it for cheap. Cheap doesn't mean anything, you know.
Well, I love how you just said getting one to get one, and you could sort of look at that in a lot of other things in life. But we told our 3 kids, who are all in their 20s now, regarding tattoos. At that time, I didn't have one. My husband just has one on his ankle that his 2 brothers and his father have. But we said, look, we won't continue to pay for your college if you get one while you're in college. We just kind of wanted to make sure that they were old enough, maybe not drinking all the time like people do in college. And we said, don't, get drunk, go with your buddies and get
just to get
something,
one,
like get one just to get one.
Right.
Make sure it's something meaningful. Although now I guess it is true, I worked in the aesthetics world for many years, and you can get it removed, but that's not the point.
No.
We want to be smart.
And these days, when you have like Instagram and stuff like that, you're able to view the artist's entire profile, see if they're your style or what you're looking for. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's really important to.
Well, that's a good point. Before we get to talking about all the things we brought you here to talk about and the addiction, if someone like wanted to get in touch with you, see your art, or just be like looky-loos and want to see what you look like, how can they get in touch with you?
Definitely at Blest Design on Instagram, BLEST Design at Instagram or on Instagram. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's great.
Speaking of your art, though, I want to go back for a second, even though we're very interested in the art that's already on your body.
Yeah.
So let's do some name dropping, because I know you did some pieces for some pretty important people.
Oh, name drop away.
Yeah, let's name drop.
I mean, I've met a lot of celebrities in my life, but the biggest one was probably Russell Brand. I did a painting for him.
Now, how did you meet him? Lauren was asking me, and
Otherwise known as Katy Perry's
husband, although he is a star in his own right.
He is.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
The CEO of Rumble, which is kind of like YouTube's competitor.
Yeah.
They have a studio here in Longboat, and I was live painting downtown. I had my own like little show and had a bunch of my pieces for sale. He bought one of them and then told me that, he was the CEO of Rumble and if I can deliver it and he'll show me around the studio. So I did. And when I went into the podcast room at the studio, Russell Brand stuff was there. And I was like, is he here? Like, that's how I'd love to meet him. And he's like, no, he's coming into town next week to do his podcast here for like 2 weeks. And I was like, and they set it up for me to meet him and do a piece for him and everything. So he was next level.
And he had addiction too. How long has he been sober?
He's been sober I want to say 8-9 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I have a Russell Brand story before we get into the addiction piece. So we're downtown.
Is it a naughty story?
I wish it were a naughty story
Yeah, right.
because I actually think he's kind of hot too. No, I know, right? But anyway, we were at Kilwins of all places on the Circle before the hurricane hit. And Russell was there with his wife and his 3 kids.
I had no idea he was married.
So, he is. And it's not to Katy Perry anymore. I don't know her name. But anyway, she's cute. But, of course, he's there. And when you see somebody and you're like, no, that's not them because you see them out of context, So everyone's like, I think that's Russell Brand. And I looked over and he starts speaking. And my heart's melting because talk to me in an accent and I am done.
Yeah, right.
Especially an Australian accent or whatever,
God.
or British or whatever he is. I was like, he's kind of rough around the edges, but he's kind of hot. He's hotter in person.
He's gorgeous.
Right? He really is.
And he when I first met him, he stared into my soul. It was next level. And then he gave me a big hug. He hugged me 3 or 4 times.
That was what I was going to say. He was so nice
and
to the
genuine
workers at Kilwin. They were like, give me an autograph.
Mm-hmm.
He was just so cool and just enjoying time with his family. But that was my brush with Russell.
All right, it wasn't naughty, but it was a good story. I totally agree with you with the accents because I will admit my husband has come home on more than one occasion and I have some soccer game on and he's like, oh, who's playing, who's winning? And I'm like, I have no fucking clue. I'm cooking up your meal here while I'm listening to the guys talk with their, Welsh or Irish accents. I have no fucking clue. Is it even soccer? What's going on?
Right.
We have that in common.
Yes,
for
we
sure.
do.
So Russell's been.
I think every woman
likes
likes.
Did you do something for Jelly Roll too?
I did. I wasn't able to give it to him personally. I gave it to his assistant outside of his show, but he did get it.
God, he speaks to me, and it's so weird because here I look at it like I'm. A 53-year-old mother of 3 who's in a wonderful marriage of 30 years has certainly maybe had a little blip in the road here and there, very early stage uterine cancer that what have you. So little blips along the road, but no massive issues, but something about the way he sings
It's
and
so
the message he sends speaks to me.
And I tell you, I heard his podcast with Jay Shetty when he spoke to him about all he's gone through. And man, I became a fan right then and there.
Oh, yeah.
Like
his concerts are wild. I mean, I've been listening to his music way before even people knew about him. You know, back like when he was just rapping all the time. And
Like, how long has he been?
He's been doing it for 20 years, but like people have really only known him ever since he like kind of started doing the country thing.
That's all I knew him from.
Right.
Yeah.
But he even his earlier stuff like really speaks to me when, you know, he talks so much about addiction and stuff like that, and it's just wild.
So how did you get commissioned to do a piece for him?
I didn't. I just
sent it to him, reached out to him.
got it to him, and I guess my presence online is kind of big that, you know, even if I message somebody, I usually get an answer. You know,
like that's awesome.
Thea Vaughn, I did a piece for him. I got to give it to him and meet him. I reached out to him personally. He got back to me, and that was cool.
That's great.
The lead singer of Papa Roach, Jacoby, he was a really excellent dude. I got to hang out with him for a minute. He also has been sober 9-10 years or something like that, so he was really cool to talk to.
Yeah.
Bam Margera, I've known him most of my life. He was actually just at my wedding.
Is he one of the Jackass guys? Yeah.
So.
Okay, yeah, and it's interesting. I saw that you just got married, in November of last year?
Yeah.
And, you know, I read a little bit about you mentioning, you know, the strength she gave you, and it's the same I've seen, and certainly I don't know you and your wife, and I certainly don't know Jelly Roll and his wife, but it seems that she's been instrumental and a rock for him. So that's so awesome that you have your wife in your life. Now, you got married in November. How long have you known her?
We've been together for 7 years.
I ask everyone, how'd you meet?
She was a hairdresser with my sister, and when I moved down here, just got done a breakup, and the last thing I thought about was getting in another relationship. And,
Where'd you move from?
I'm originally from Philadelphia.
Go Birds.
Yeah. And
That's the only reason she asked you, so she could say go. Not that they just won the Super Bowl.
Two Phillies in the house.
I know, I'm the outsider.
Okay, so you moved down here.
Yeah, I moved to South Florida originally. I was down there for a little bit. I went to rehab. That's why I came down here. I was fucking down and out and ready to kill myself.
Okay.
You know. And so I came to a rehab in South Florida and was down there for about a year. And then about half my family was here. So I ended up just kind of migrating up here and stayed. But
So let's talk about drugs and alcohol and addiction if we
let's
can,
go
because
there.
our family's been touched by it too. We have several family members that battle addiction as well.
I feel like every single family is touched by it.
Yeah.
Totally agree. My husband is one of 3 boys, all a year apart. He and my husband and the 1-year older brother have never done a drug. They're very fun and they drink. Everyone always, if I got a penny every time someone offered my husband cocaine when we're out, I'd be a millionaire. But the older brother, who's now been sober close to, 30 years, probably did everything. And then my husband's cousin.
Can I hit my vape in here?
Same thing. My husband's one cousin, she was hardcore though, meth addict, in and out of rehab, and she's straight. But I'm glad that you said that everyone.
We're all touched by it.
We're all touched by it.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
It's a family disease for sure. So when did you start drinking, drugging, whatever?
Probably when I was around 12, 13, 14. I was drinking a lot.
Like what? Did you get your hands on beer?
Yeah.
Is that how it starts?
Or liquor, we find whoever's,
Was it just the
house
crowd
was
you were hanging with? Was it tough childhood, all of the above?
I don't know.
How
I guess it was, I don't know. I feel like all Catholic school kids are kind of rebellious. I mean, or I at least gravitated towards a rebellious crowd. This was, just a weekend thing, but I was always trying to get as messed up as possible. You know what I mean? Like, I just had that in me. Like, I always couldn't get enough. And then into high school, it just got even worse. I was always smoking weed, drinking, and then I was just always getting high before school and leaving school to get high. And, you know, that's when I started dabbling with, like, cocaine and hallucinogens and stuff like that. And, I mean, I partied a lot, and I had a ton of fun. You know, I'm not going to say I didn't, but I knew I had a problem because I was always just trying to not
Keep going.
Not outdo anybody. Like, it wasn't about that. It was just like I never wanted the party to end, you know?
Okay.
And, Jesus Christ. And I put myself into my first rehab around 18, I think, yeah.
Wow, put yourself into rehab.
Most of the time that I went to rehab, I put myself there because I knew I had to get clean. So I knew, you know, I couldn't take it anymore.
So how many times did you go into rehab?
About 13.
13
Wow.
times.
Yeah.
Wow.
About 13 rehabs, maybe 4 or 5 detoxes, maybe
And
three or
who pays for that? Do you have insurance?
Yeah,
Who pays for
usually
that?
insurance.
Do you have family insurance?
Yeah,
pays for that.
insurance stuff.
So
or at least did. You
What's
know,
the
when I
longest
was-
time you've been clean and sober?
I would always get like 6 months here, 9 months here. One time I almost got a year, but didn't. You know, I mean, now, March 21st, I'll have 30 years clean and sober.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then what in the past? What's been a
trigger.
Trigger, yeah.
I mean, sometimes it would just be like, you know, either something bad would happen, or I would just be like, you know, I would get to a certain point where, okay, I have this under control. Like, I'll be able to have a couple drinks here and there, a couple
Okay.
drinks here and there, and then 6 months later, I'm back at it, you know, going hard as hell. So it's like, you know, and every other time throughout my life, I would go the AA, NA route and go to meetings all the time and all that stuff. And I found out that was just not my path.
Okay.
In a way, like, I'm glad that I did because I was able to pick up all those tools along the way.
Right.
You know what I mean? But in my opinion, and just in the way I needed to finally get to where I'm at today, you know, going to meetings every day and talking about it and hearing, you know,
Other
war
people
stories
talk
and
about
shit.
it.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, I don't know. Like, then you're constantly thinking about it. And it's kind of like
Right.
what we were talking about with the secret stuff. Like, it's like, if you're constantly talking about it and putting it out and thinking about it, then it's going to be on your mind.
Mind, yeah.
So, like, this time getting sober, you know, I put myself through the worst goddamn detox by myself. Went through hell and prayed every single day for God to remove it from me. And I since haven't, you know, been to a meeting or talked to somebody else in recovery. Of course, I talked to other people in recovery, and a lot of people that have followed me for a long time on, you know, socials, like, they reach out to me all the time. You know, you're an inspiration, and you've helped me with this and with that, and, you know, it's just, you know, helps me big time. You know what I mean? But
So I
lot of
have a
people
question, not
ask
to
me.
interrupt you, but
Yeah.
so your wife was with you during all of that.
Yeah,
How did
so
your
she-
relationship survive that?
I have no idea. I
Yeah,
have no idea.
because that's not easy.
When it got to that breaking point where I did get, I detoxed myself in my house. I actually had to stay in my house because the cops had a warrant out for my arrest because I was on like a 3-day bender. I was doing nitrous every single day. I was doing nitrous for months, but I was doing it like every single day, and drinking every day, cocaine, smoking DMT every single day, mushrooms. I was trying to get as far out there as possible, literally just killing myself every single day. And me and my dad ended up getting into a fist fight, and I like smashed a pot on his head. He was bleeding, da-da-da. My sister called the cops, and the cops came, and they tried to get in the house to get me, and they ended up putting charges on me. My dad, you know, for 2 weeks they tried to get me, and I just kept myself locked in the house and went through the worst detox of my life, like just dying. But I don't know. I'm glad that did happen, so I
So your
wouldn't be here
wife stuck
today.
by you through it all.
So, I mean, at that
she
point,
go
she was
over
like, fuck this, I'm out of here.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You got
Yeah.
the cops after you, like, you're out. And so she, left. Yeah. And,
Well, was a girlfriend at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
'Cause yeah.
but she also dealt with me, in some of the worst anybody could have ever. You know what I mean? Like, coming home, just blood all over me from God knows what, or laying on top of the street and dragging me home, like just the worst shit. You know what I mean? Just I put her through absolute hell. I have no idea how she stuck by my side. It must be real love.
Does she drink alcohol at all?
I mean, like
And
once in a blue moon.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like she likes to smoke pot here and there, but she's the type of person that doesn't even like to take an Advil if she has a headache. You know what I mean? She
Yeah.
doesn't have that addictive, and ever since I got clean and sober, like she doesn't even like to, you know what I mean? Like she just went away on a bachelorette party for my sister in Scottsdale, Arizona, and she drank with them a couple of nights, but she told me how much she hated it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like she just doesn't like the feeling of it, and she's the kind of person that likes to wake up early and get shit done, and
So how have you changed, and how has your relationship changed now that you're clean and sober?
I mean,
What do you think?
the life I'm living today is beyond my wildest dreams. I mean, it's like one good thing after another. Like it was weird. Like when I was like 6-7 months sober, I started kind of going through like a little bit of a depression. And I think because I think it usually takes the brain like a good year to like really kind of reset and like, you know what I mean, the dopamine levels and all that shit kind of, to like go back. But like I felt like just hopeless a little bit. I felt just, I don't know, I felt like,
I mean, is there any part that feels like this so overly simplifies it, but like boring?
yeah.
Like, that you have to convince yourself, which is so ridiculous. I mean, you shouldn't need alcohol
No.
or some substance in your body to have fun.
Yeah.
But I think our mind is trained. I mean, I'm an early riser too. Love to work out, get stuff done around the house. I'm pretty sure I could function without
Right.
my coffee, but I still that's my routine.
Oh,
and
without a doubt.
this sounds so silly in any way to compare this to a type of addiction, but when I have a procedure where I can't drink or eat anything in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
it's very confusing for me to get up. And I don't, I'm not allowed to have a cup of coffee, and my mind keeps saying coffee,
Yeah,
you need
yeah.
coffee, you need to then go back to bed. It's a weird, so I can't imagine if it were.
It was crazy. Yeah, like I kind of was just like, what the fuck do I do with myself, kind of thing. And that's when I really dove into like health and fitness and working out. And then that became a little bit of an addiction as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like
it's
if
a better addiction.
Mm-hmm.
It's a better addiction.
Yeah, I mean, I run that bridge every single day.
You still work out?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
like
I think I saw you walking with your dog. Was it with your dog? the other day?
possibly, yeah.
What kind of dogs you have?
It's I have two. I have a min pin, and then I have a rescue,
What's a min pin?
like a miniature pinscher, like a smaller Doberman-looking dog.
Oh, okay.
And then my rescue dog, I got her when I was like a week clean and sober, so she like kind of rescued me in a way, you know what I mean, which is pretty amazing, and I love her to death.
So do you look at alcoholism and addiction as a disease, or do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does it
without a
run in your
doubt.
family?
Yeah, it runs on both sides of my family. I think it's definitely hereditary too. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean,
It's
I
so
think
much
some people
more
have it.
challenging than like cancer, right? Like if you have cancer, everybody is there for you, and I think alcoholism is just, and it's. I think the difficulty is like society has normalized drinking alcohol. Like everyone
big
meets
time.
for happy hour. Everyone meets like it's hard. I know in my
They call it mommy juice, the wine.
Yeah, I mean, in my family, the people that are struggling with it now, it's difficult to now transition to what do I do that doesn't involve drinking, right?
Right,
And now
right.
all of a sudden you've got to go bowling, or you've got to play softball, or if you want to have some sort of socialization and some
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah.
thing that it's hard. I mean, even our friend group, it's like let's meet for happy hour. Let's,
Everything
always
revolves
everything
around
revolves around
drinking,
alcohol.
yes. And I think
does.
you mentioned, though, the cancer. I guess that's where the judgment comes in, because you look at cancer as that someone's
They're not
affected
choosing
by it, they're not choosing. So
Right.
people look at it, you're choosing
to have a drink.
to have a drink. But I was saying to Sharon, it's really interesting when the judgment comes in for drinking or alcoholism or addiction, because I said, we travel, like Sharon was just starting to say, in a circle of people. And we, here in Sarasota, when we lived in Manhattan Beach, California, and when we lived in the Philadelphia area,
Yeah.
we traveled in a circle of friends that
Cocktail
drank a lot.
Yeah.
And they weren't, nobody is having only one or two
Right,
drinks when
right.
we go out. So
Right.
there's sort of, what's that line? And I think it is, I like that expression, those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. So I think we're all sort of near that line. But so I personally believe that there is something that you're born with that causes someone to not be able to just have fun having a couple drinks, or if it's gambling or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That there's
food
something.
addiction, sex addiction, there's all kinds of addictions.
Yeah,
Usually it's like,
For me.
me too.
Yeah.
I think it's sometimes deep-rooted problems, you know what I mean, that you're trying to stuff down, or
I think self-esteem is a big thing.
Yeah.
I think I shop the way I do because triggers from when I was, sort of young and the skinny twin and gawky and wore glasses since I was 3, and like I am insecure, and so I somehow stupidly think that if I have this bag, everyone's
yeah.
gonna think I'm cool, or if I wear that outfit, everyone's gonna think I'm cool, and it's so ridiculous. So I definitely think that addictions are linked to self-esteem. I think that my twin sister and older sister, who I don't, think have any type of addiction, and I am in no way comparing my shopping addiction
Yeah,
to
right.
your addiction or other, but
A lot
I
of
think
people
that
go
they
into
have higher
bankruptcy that way,
self-esteem.
with shopping
Yeah.
addictions too. So there are a lot of problems that can come from that.
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
But as far as alcoholism specifically and drug addiction, I think it goes hand in hand oftentimes with mental illness too, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are suffering from depression and that
Exactly.
sort of thing. I know, again, in our family, there's ADHD drugs that they're taking, or, antidepressants to try. So
Right.
it's
And I was always,
lot of that.
I started seeing psychiatrists when I was like 14, you know what I mean? So I was put on Adderall, I was put on Klonopin, like way back when I was younger. And so then drinking on top of those medications and then antidepressants. So I always dealt with depression, anxiety, panic attacks and stuff like that. And, the drinking would make that go away, you know what I mean? And then it would just make it 10 times worse, so it was a vicious cycle
leads
as
me
well.
to another question. So how do you handle something that's depressing now or causing anxiety?
Yes, that's a
for you?
great question, Sharon.
Without,
What tools do you have?
Working out, without a doubt, is huge, especially for my mental clarity and my mental, health, prayer, meditation, being able to, when I paint, you know what I mean? Which is my job, it's, it's also very therapeutic for me, you know what I mean? So I feel like I have quite a few outlets,
so your faith is very important to you. I can tell because
Yeah.
you have some crosses on your tattoos, and your one on your forehead says "Child of God." So has that always been a big part of your life, or is that also part of your journey with?
It's
addiction?
always been a part of my life. I grew up Catholic, but then I kind of steered away from the Catholic religion. It wasn't until I would say my early 20s or so, I was going to I was heavy drinking and thinking about killing myself. And my sister's fiance was down at this Christian recovery in South Philadelphia, small little house that held maybe 10 guys, and then a church next door, with a couple houses that they turned into a church. And I hadn't spoken to him in 9 months or something like that. And out of nowhere at 2 in the morning, he calls me. He's like, "Dave, please come to church." And this is I was
At
ready.
2 in the morning?
Yeah,
Wow.
and I hadn't talked to him in forever.
Wow.
And just out of nowhere, out of the blue, he says, "Dave, please come to church tomorrow." And as I'm thinking about killing myself, and I'm 3 bottles of wine deep, and I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Wow.
So I go down there, and I meet the pastor, and this guy, big blue eyes, but he just glowed and just had so much love, and I was just like so drawn to that. And I was like, "All right, I'm fucking staying." So I got rid of my apartment and moved in there and stayed there for like a year doing Bible studies, and he baptized me, and I just learned that he broke it down to me so simple. Like, you know, I don't like the term religion. You know, I think being, you know, like a Christian is just having a personal relationship with God, you know, having, so I mean, I really don't even like go to church that often. I just take time out of my day every single day to, you know, sit and pray, and even throughout my day, just talk to God in my head. And, you know, I sometimes will read the Bible and stuff like that, but
Helps keep you grounded.
yeah,
Sounds
without a
like
doubt.
that's great. And you have 2 young boys.
Yeah, I got a
Oh,
14-year-old and 12-year-old, and
how are they doing?
they're amazing. They are.
They play sports?
The one is a wrestler, and the other one's a great soccer player.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's
And the
fun.
one can draw his ass off, so he's definitely got that from me.
That's awesome. I can't draw a stick figure. Can you draw? Are you an artist?
Yeah, I always,
can, yeah?
I loved art. I was almost had enough art history classes in college to be an art history minor. Just loved the studying of the pictures and what they meant. Like when you saw a woman on a swing and her toe was pointed with her shoe half off, that was a very sexual
Right.
image, apparently. Or when you would see pictures of Napoleon and he would point upwards, he was always alluding to the fact that he was a god, he was a deity.
Did you take art classes or are you self-taught?
I'm self-taught. I did go to some school for a little bit, but the school ended up going bankrupt, and
Yeah.
it was like 2 weeks before I was supposed to get my associates, and got robbed of that. But they didn't teach me anything. I'd learned a little bit about art history and stuff like that, and kind of stuff about like Adobe and
I swear.
I kind of feel like with art, though, the way I do about singing or being, you know, a phenomenal runner, that yes, you can maybe get some training to be better at your craft,
Yeah.
but that you have something in you
gift,
that you're a gift that you're born with,
without a doubt.
Yeah. That's true. 'cause
that
why
puts
can
you
some
at
people
that
do it?
level.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I might
Yeah.
be able to learn to do something, but maybe more than a stick figure.
We're going to teach
I
you how
might
to
be-
do something
I might be able
slightly
to,
better than a
Maybe
stick
you could teach me how to do
That's
Mickey
just-
Mouse.
That's kind of sad.
It is that. Oh, a house. I could use. Remember when you did the cube and the overlap, the 3D house? Whatever. I could.
Well, one of my
Draw a
big
house.
goals is, I don't know when it's ever going to come, but I want to somehow acquire like a warehouse. Like, you know, they got all those warehouses over there, like by 10th and 12th. And I want to
Over by near where I live in the Rosemary district,
Yeah,
where all the
yeah.
artists are. Yeah,
That's where I live. And so I want to get a warehouse, and then I want to make the front of it a gallery, and, you know, sell all types of, you know,
Different
artwork,
mediums.
but then like jewelry, handmade clothing. Like I have, you know, to all types of people that could send me stuff to sell. And then I also want to turn the back into a workshop for artists to come and work, and they can either pay like a
love
membership or something like that, and then their finished pieces can go for sale. But then I also want to hold classes where I teach kids how to paint, and I also want to hold classes to like where I, you know, do like that painting with a twist kind of thing, where, you know, people come and, you know, I'll show them how to do a painting.
This seems like an achievable goal.
I think that is an achievable goal
I
too.
think so, too.
And I think that that sounds much more fun and real than doing that paint by numbers that people do
Right.
in their studios.
No, I would rather it be, yeah, like I know for a fact I could definitely do something like that, but having the financial means is not anything I see.
See, right now,
Well,
getting
you can get investors to help you with that.
Yeah.
I like the idea of teaching the kids to paint, having the outlet, because I think
Yeah.
having some outlet,
Well,
you
and
know,
they're
for
cutting
you
a lot of
to,
those programs in schools.
I
so
know,
it's
for
so
you to
important.
turn to, you know, I mean, my father, who's a very, you know, who's retired divorce lawyer, but was always very serious. My grandparents are from Vienna, so they're Austrian. And I think that, you know, my mom died right before she turned 50. And that was really, really difficult for my father. And he sort of needed to understand where she was. She's no longer here. Where is she?
Right.
And he pretty much allowed himself to be, you know, I'm going to say it, a raging alcoholic for 3 months. You know, you'd look at the trash can outside our house. It was just filled with, say, gin bottles, what have you. But, you know, he's very disciplined, so it was short term. However, later on in life, when he wasn't doing that anymore, he said that if something bad would happen, his initial reaction would be like, go get, you know, a drink.
Yeah.
You know, like a real, like drink too much drink.
Yeah.
And it made him appreciate the people before that he sort of looked down on that like were alcoholics or who turned to the bottle. He had a sudden appreciation for having a trauma in your life, whatever it might be, that could have you turn to alcohol to numb yourself or soothe the pain, because it goes away when your panic attack goes away when you drink the alcohol.
Oh, without
or whatever.
a doubt. Yeah. But, you know, I'm definitely living proof that there's ways to go or to deal with it than to grabbing that drink.
So
for
what
sure.
advice would you give somebody that's going through this and struggling, and how, like,
I mean,
if you don't think AA and all that is
I mean, I know
you, let's
it
put
wasn't
that
good for
way.
me,
Yeah.
but I also think the 12 steps is good for everyone. You know what I mean? Whether you have addiction or not, because that you take a deep dive into looking at yourself. You know what I mean? And that, I think a lot of people don't like to do that internal work. You know, because like.
Well, it's scary.
Yeah.
Sitting with yourself and
It's
admitting
so scary. Right.
what the problems you have or what you need forgiveness for, the mistakes you've made. It's hard.
Yeah, so doing that kind of work is, a lot of people don't like to do it, but you know, it's definitely necessary, I think. It depends on like what level you're at, you know what I mean? Some people do need to go to a detox and really get everything out of their system, you know, and that could be their first step. I also wanted to start a rehab that was kind of different than all the other rehabs, but...
How would it be different?
I would focus it more on, you know, doing stuff like meditation and yoga and maybe acupuncture, or, you know what I mean? Like other holistic type of, you know, having people come in and talk, like just like different ways than some of the other
self-awareness,
yeah,
that sort of stuff.
and like,
That makes sense.
you know, just get personal with people, because there really is no rehabs around here, you know, and it's like sad because it's needed. Yeah.
I really love, though, and I think you could be really successful with it, you know, what you had mentioned about not liking being in the type of therapy where they were just talking about it all day long and all the misery.
Therapy.
And I think, like for me, I went on the uterine cancer websites after I was diagnosed, and it led me down a very bad rabbit hole where, like, every second, every pain I had, I was just consumed with, oh, I was diagnosed, it's going to come back, this pain is, and I had to get off all of those sites because I realized that maybe that helps other people, but for me it was
like I would focus.
It was bad.
I would focus on, you know, getting people's phones away and getting, you know, more connected with nature, more connected with, you know, just, you know, maybe they have a hidden hobby that they don't know about, you know what I mean, or a hidden talent or something, you know what I mean, and just
bring out the positive traits that they have. Focusing on all the
and focus on like other things,
Yeah.
on coping with the daily shit that we go through, you know, because it's always going to be there.
You ready to talk about sex?
Sharon, I'm always ready to talk about sex.
Let's talk about sex, baby. All right, we're bringing Dr. Ruth back, and we're on her chapter 10 Things Men Wish Women Knew About Sex. You with us, David?
I am so with you.
10 things men wish women knew. So the first one, well, first of all, it says, ladies, If any of you still believe that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach, then you have a lot to figure out about men. Men can easily feed themselves. This is true.
Very true.
But they're not so crazy about taking care of some of their other needs by themselves. And I'm not talking about sewing on buttons. So, what you talking about, Dr. Ruth? First one, she says, be aware of mixed signals. So men wish women knew to be aware of mixed signals, and that means if you spend a lot of time together, mixed signals are just a natural occurrence. Just bear in mind that in the sexual arena, you have two audiences, his mind and his penis, which at times have been known to get their own signals crossed. Does that make sense to you? Be aware of mixed signals, David?
Yeah.
Meaning, like, if you're walking around naked in the room, but you just want to be naked in the room, the man might look at you and be like, okay, it's go time.
Yeah.
Right.
But you might just be like, no, it's not really go time. I just feel like walking around naked.
Right.
Right. And that's
Yes, Sharon, that's why I've learned that if it's not go time, when I come home from working out early in the morning and get changed, I don't do it
In front
right
of
in
him?
front of my husband. Otherwise, it's go time.
Right.
It's go time.
Yeah.
And you know that.
Yeah.
So what about, are there any mixed signals that you?
I mean, I am somewhat of an infomaniac, so like I want it night and day.
So you're like most men.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Night and day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave, how old are you?
39.
39.
Oh,
Okay.
you're a baby. You're still a baby. Lack of sex really can hurt. That's number 2. The term is blue balls. And whether a man's testicles actually turn any colors, I don't know. But they can absolutely ache from the need for sexual release. If you get a man that excited and then change your mind about giving him sexual release, he won't be pleased. Not only does his ego suffer, but his testicles do as well. Do we want to add anything to
Well,
the
no,
blue
but we
ball
all know, we've all
conversation?
heard about blue balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does a woman have anything similar to blue balls? I don't think we do.
I don't think we do.
Pretty
No.
much like, okay, we're all right, we're good.
Yeah.
We can save it to later.
Right.
Although sometimes I do get like angry, not hangry.
I
What call
believe
that?
you do get
Sangry?
angry.
If I'm frustrated and can't get my needs met.
I don't know, but I think
I'm
we
like,
need to come
really?
up with a term for that because
We
there's
do.
definitely something like.
Yeah.
I think
know-
there's a lot of men out there that don't. I've always been the type to make sure that the woman comes before I
Okay.
do.
Yeah.
You know? And I think there's a lot of men that don't give a shit.
I totally agree with you. Sharon and I had this conversation about it. Sad how many women have never had an orgasm.
What?
Or
Yeah,
you
it's a
know,
thing.
or
It's a
young
thing.
women. Oh yeah, or young women that think, oh, this is what sex is. This is what I have before me for the next several years, because they're with these high school kids or college boys who
Yeah.
only care about getting themselves off.
Right.
And how sad is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I have a question about the whole blue balls thing. Like, is that something that, I mean, is it really that big a deal?
I mean, yeah.
It is? It's that
I've,
painful?
I've never seen my balls turn blue before, but I've definitely.
No, I wonder if it's really
I
painful.
yeah.
I'm
Or
curious.
is there like a legit pain?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I always thought it was just a funny expression and it
exactly.
wasn't real.
No, it hurts.
Oh,
It really
okay.
hurts. Okay.
Hurts like getting like kicked in the balls
Yeah.
hurt or interesting.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you have to have the release to
Yes.
overcome that pain. Okay, got it.
I have to say, Sharon, it's
Sorry.
my belief, maybe someone would say otherwise, that I have never caused a guy to get blue balls.
High five, girlfriend.
I've
can't
never
say that.
like shut someone down
I
in
totally
a
have.
moment.
I totally have.
I mean, I guess maybe I could have
Yeah.
like back in the day passed out and that would have caused it, but I'm not aware of intentionally
See,
ever.
David, you don't know
shutting
the
someone
difference
down.
between Lauren and I is I've been divorced. She has been married for a very long time. So
Yes.
during that dating period between divorce and my second husband, there's probably some blue balls happening.
Okay.
Yeah. There was not probably, I'm sure there was.
So if any
I
of
could
you
probably
guys
name
are
them, but I
listening there, feel free to reach out.
Yeah.
Let me know
Well-
that Sharon caused you
Yes,
to get
I
blue
did.
balls.
And I
we'll just say-
apologize.
She'll apologize. She'll give you a personal
won't.
apology.
Very sorry. I'm not going to go back and fix the
Because
problem.
that's
Yeah,
not,
right.
that's not
I do
cool.
apologize. It's not cool. I can't
Not
do it. I'm
cool.
married now. Sorry. Done. Anyway, sometimes wasting electricity is okay. So it says, I know that you'd like to cuddle and be cozy and that a dark room with the covers drawn up over your chin helps you feel safe enough to get aroused. But for the sake of your man, how about leaving the lights on once in a while? So these are for women that feel self-conscious about their bodies. And Dr. Ruth is saying most men could care less. If they're into you, they're into you. Leave the lights on.
And that's so sad to me. And that would probably go back to your comment, Dave, about saying the importance of women coming first.
Yeah.
It makes me sad that those women that need to cover themselves up, be in the dark, that then they probably didn't date someone that made them feel good, because I, like everybody else, sort of grew up with that. You're self-conscious. And I was lucky enough, probably later than other people in life, to date a guy sophomore year in college who was like, oh my gosh, love your vagina. It's the best thing. It's awesome, like however it is. And he made me be like, I'm powerful, like I'm awesome, and I don't need to compare my vagina to anyone else, and it's okay what it looks like or smells like, or that was. And so I'm thankful to have had a partner like that. That it's a shame if a woman hasn't and feels like she needs to hide.
I think a lot of women want to have sex with the lights off. Do you like? Does it matter to a man? Sex on, lights on or off?
No. I mean, I prefer the lights on.
Yeah, Dr. Ruth is saying it because men are visual creatures and they like to see. That was her whole point with that. So either way, you can feel your way through it too. We can feel our way through it. The next one is teamwork is important. It just pretty much says it shouldn't always be one way. So she's saying the simplest thing you can do, this is to a woman, is to initiate sex once in a while if you tend to leave that task to him. Buy some sex toys, edible underwear, for example, and present them to him one night. Suggest writing up a game plan for the night's sexual activities, including starting time, which positions, that seems like a lot of work,
that does
and
seem
which
like a lot of work.
room of the house. This one's kind of cute, though. Buy a team uniform, maybe matching T-shirts that can serve as a secret signal between the two of you that if you're both wearing them, then that night or that afternoon is reserved for sex. That's kind of clever.
Yeah, that's kind of clever. I mean, you might look like
I
dweebs or
like
knobs, dressed the
I
same.
like spontaneity.
Yeah, me too.
I
Just go
I like having sex in public. I like filming all the time.
Okay, wait, we have to go there, Sharon. We have to ask. So where, like, what's... Now we all need to know, and I know everyone listening, you're welcome, wants to know too. Where is, like, a crazy place
in public?
In
Yeah.
public?
Can't just let that one slide.
No, we cannot let that
We're
one
bringing
slide.
that one back.
Craziest then on a jet ski in Key West, like right under the 7 Mile Bridge.
While it's underway or while you're stopped?
A little bit of both, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. A moving jet ski.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
That's tricky.
Yeah, so after Dave leaves, Sharon and I are going to be Googling what position would you have to be on a jet ski while it's moving for the man to be able to penetrate the woman or what?
I don't know. But I am curious.
Me too.
Yeah. We're both
She was on the front and I was in the back.
Okay. There you have it.
It was,
And you could still see?
yeah.
Okay. That's hot.
Yeah.
That's hot. We'll take that one. Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on. Celebrities' bodies are not a threat. The Bible may have said not to covet your neighbor's wife, but in those days of stone tablets, admiring women worlds away wasn't even an imagined possibility. Today, such images are all around us, and better not to spoil your relationship by trying to make your partner feel guilty for partaking every now and then. That make sense?
Partaking what in, like,
Looking
watching
at
porn or
looking at or looking at another woman in the room. Like if there's some, we talked about this before.
Yeah, we talked about this on another podcast.
Yeah.
I said to Sharon, Dave, that, like, to me, the whole thing with your partner, your guy watching porn, I mean, that's totally fine. It's not cheating.
Yeah.
Obviously, I guess just like we were talked about earlier with addiction, if it takes the point of being an addiction. But I said, are you going to consider that cheating? So does that mean anytime your, like, boyfriend or husband is in the shower or in bed and masturbates, he's cheating?
Yeah, no.
Like,
No, absolutely not.
That's weird.
Yeah, and she's just saying celebrities bite. Like if you're a fan of Angelina Jolie,
Right.
big deal. If you're not Angelina Jolie, your man still loves you and wants to be with you, right? True?
Yeah. I mean, I get shit sometimes for staring, you know what I mean, or from checking out another girl in front of her, and
Yeah.
you know what I mean. That happens.
Yeah, my husband
sometimes.
gets shit for that too.
I said to Sharon, though, to me, there's a line like, if my husband's head was on a swivel,
Right.
then I would be bummed out. But for the most part, if he's turned and looked at a woman, I've already turned and looked at her. So how can I
But I'm also
be mad at him?
I'm also the type of guy that, like, if there's a good-looking guy, I'll check him out, or I'll be like, hey, I'll tell her
Yeah.
to check him out. Like, I'm pretty open like
Yeah, I'm pretty open like that too. I think that looking at someone who's attractive or acknowledging someone that's attractive, like you don't get married or get in a relationship and suddenly you don't
Shrivel
find
up and
anyone
die,
else
yeah.
attractive or you shrivel up and die.
Right.
No.
There's a lot of attraction.
There's a lot of things, though, that I'm open to that she's not, so.
Okay.
Well, and I also think, though, if you're going to be looking at other women or whatever in her presence, you just also have to make her feel like she's the prettiest girl in the room, too.
Oh, without a doubt.
You know, and that, like, for me, that's what I need. It's like,
Yeah.
that's fine, look around, but make me feel like I'm your girl,
I think I
you know?
grew up having a very wild sex life my whole life, so, like, I've been a part of orgies, I've been a part of...
How old were you when you had sex for the first time?
13, I want to say.
A lot
Okay.
happened when you
Yeah.
were 12 and 13.
Yeah, that's when I
It's kind of
came up.
normal.
Damn.
How old was the girl? Like 16 or something?
Yeah, she was like 17,
Yeah,
18.
usually the girls are older.
But I, like, was always into, like, threesomes, foursomes,
Okay.
swinging,
Yeah.
that type of thing. So,
Yeah.
like, now my wife is not, and it's difficult. I gotta, like, hold those urges back, I guess.
Well, as Sharon and I would say, as we've talked about on other podcasts, that would all come down to communication.
Yes.
Communication.
Right.
Communication.
And seeing what your partner is okay with or what's considered safe, what's not safe. Communication.
Right.
Oh, I've communicated it plenty.
Yeah.
And I get shot down every single
That
time.
you
Well-
want it and she doesn't, you mean? That
Yeah.
you want to
Yeah.
participate in it?
I mean, I joke with Sharon to that note that, I believe the institution of marriage was founded when we got married at 13 and died at 20. So you were whatever. So you only had 7 years, with that person.
Right,
Whereas
true.
now
Good point.
it is interesting to think of the institution of marriage with how many human beings are on this planet, that we've been made the way we are so that we can procreate. So you're always going to have those urges and the idea of monogamy. I
Right.
mean, I don't know a lot about animals. I know there are a couple of birds and maybe penguins who are, monogamous,
Monogamous,
right?
yeah.
Right,
But a
right.
lot of them, I mean, you look at the
They're all screwing around.
all the others that are not.
Right.
Multiple partners.
Multiple partners.
Yeah, that's right. So to each their own on that
To
one.
each their
Yeah,
own.
exactly. Well, and I think every relationship, you have to define what your relationship is going to be. You and your wife
Yeah.
have to define what your...
And I think it's okay
and
to
those,
change.
and the rules change, the boundaries
I
change.
think it's okay to change.
Right.
I don't think you have to be just like
You can baby step
personally, you don't have to be the same person your entire life. I think as a couple, you don't have to be the same your entire life.
No, and and if she ever wanted to join you in that, I mean, I feel like that's a growth opportunity for her to learn more about her own sexual interests and
Yeah.
and it can build if you guys have a healthy foundation, another level of trust between you two,
Right.
and it brings you
right.
closer.
I think it's a
There's
make or
that
break
element.
kind of thing, actually. Like, because I talked to my one friend who, him and his wife are swingers, and he said it's only made the relationship better.
Right.
But I feel like
It can break it,
go that
100%.
entire other way, too.
I agree. There's something to be said for
It's a
Pandora's box.
Yeah.
And like once you open
Yeah.
it, you can't close it.
Right.
And this would make a great topic for.
Well, but I mean, it's interesting what you said. So why do you think your friend feels like it's made them stronger as a couple? By opening up the relationship.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess.
I mean, you can't speak for your friends.
No,
you
I
can't answer that.
I can, but I would imagine fulfilling each other's needs type thing. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and they always come home together.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're running off with other partners.
Right.
Yeah. It's an interesting way of life.
Yeah, but I don't see it. I mean, I don't, to each his own.
Right.
I don't judge. I think that the reality is that there are plenty of people out there who are in a monogamous relationship who judge when they're fucking unhappy as shit.
Yeah.
And that goes to my mentality with everything in life
Right.
that Sharon and I talk about all the time in terms of people just living their truth and being who they are, and us trying to take away, just get rid of this whole word called normal
Right.
that everyone's trying to be,
I hate
because
that
what
word.
because
Hate
what
that word.
we're all just trying to live our best life,
And
be
who
good
who
humans,
decides
and
what
who
normal
decides?
is?
Like, I don't want
Fuck
someone
that.
fucking telling me,
No, fuck
you're
that.
53, you have to dress like this, you have to
Yeah.
look like this, you can't do that.
no.
Like,
Yeah.
Fuck
what
no.
does that even mean?
No, you
it's
decide
crazy.
what your normal is.
Exactly.
And fuck everyone else.
Exactly.
Anyway, the next one is a little tact, please. And this is so men wish women knew that they are not in full control of their erections. So sometimes if they're having trouble maintaining the erection, the last thing they need is a snide comment from you. So I get that. Like,
Who would make a snide comment?
well, people could say, what's going on? What's the problem?
Well,
Why
they'll
are you
think,
not-
look, most girls will think it's them. You know
Yeah,
what I
we'll,
mean?
we'll think it's them, that they can't, right? They're not attractive enough.
Right.
They're not giving him a good enough blowjob, whatever it is, right?
Yes.
To get him ready to go. So, and that's interesting because probably, especially in the swinging world, that's not always easy too. If you're not with your partner and you're with a new partner, it can be difficult, correct?
Yeah.
So anyway, the next one is, if you really loved me, you'd, and then the topic is oral sex on a man. Says, I must say categorically that I absolutely do not want any woman to do anything that really repulses her. But before you ignore this section, ask yourself, is oral sex really that repulsive? I'm not saying that you have to necessarily swallow his semen, but it's just kissing and licking his penis that big of a deal. So most men would like probably more oral
All of
sex.
that.
We had a full conversation, Dave, about the whole blowjob thing, spitting versus swallowing, what it means to the woman, what it means to the guy. I mean,
Yeah.
I think what's crazy is Sharon and I have friends who, joke about the fact, their husband, gets a blowjob on his birthday, if that. And we actually filmed one of these episodes talking about blowjobs, and
felt
totally
so
in a
sorry.
loving,
Yes.
like sincere way, the cameraman came up to Sharon and me after off camera and said, yeah, I love my wife. We've been together almost 30 years. And he said, I do my job. And he said, but I can literally count on one hand the amount of times she's given me a blowjob. And I, who am clearly very good at math, said, oh my God, Sharon, that's like one every 5 years.
Fuck out of
Like,
here.
I know.
We
I-
felt so.
I know. We
I
both
felt
looked
like
at
he
him like-
needed a hug.
Yeah, right.
Like, it was so sincere, and I'm not
God.
actually trying to be funny about it.
No, I
It
know.
made me feel really sad that he was in a relationship
That sucks.
like that, where the wife.
Well, a lot of
didn't.
women don't like to do it. So it is, yeah, that's a
And
thing.
I said, though, it doesn't have to be like, what does that even mean? Don't like to do it. Like, I'm not like, oh, yay, blowjob. Woo, this is the best thing I ever do in life. Yum,
Right.
yum, 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 yum.
Right.
But but the best thing in life I do want to do is make my partner happy.
Is
So
please
to
you,
that
yeah.
aspect, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, bring it.
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
What do we need to do? Let's
don't,
go.
And so for me, I'm like, as women, don't you want to be the best
Yeah.
at everything you do? So to
Exactly.
me, like, bring it on.
Right. Right. Right.
Well,
Right.
maybe she had a trauma. You never know what her past was.
No, I think it's pure and simple. People are just like, ick.
Yeah.
Ick,
Like the
yeah,
same way
ick
they
of
would
it.
say ick to broccoli or ick to.
That's fucking weird.
Which is so
Yeah.
sad. It's just sad.
Okay, so we're all in agreement on that.
We're all
Dr.
in agreement
Ruth,
on
you
that.
were right. The way we already talked about this one. The way to a man's heart is not through his stomach. We get that. Give them more sex. That's really the way to his heart.
And also, I did read recently in terms of having glowing skin that wearing a legit like pearl necklace, like the pearl, the essence of the pearl, like reflects off your face. So, pearl necklaces, ladies, that can have the double entendre, like
Right.
right. Get a pearl necklace. You'll look glowy and dewy the next day.
I have nothing to say to that,
You see, so Sharon,
which is very unusual for me. All right. The next thing men would like women to know is it might just be sex. You're not going to marry her. You're just going to have sex with her.
Oh my God, totally agree.
Yeah.
I said that to my kids. I'm amazed by people that say the dating world. Oh my gosh, if you think you're like in your teens, your young 20s, it is totally okay to date someone that you know you would never marry.
Yeah, right.
Oh my God.
Right.
Like, you can have fun, you learn something. I mean, that's totally.
Actually, this is interesting. I hadn't read the whole paragraph, so let's go. Okay, this is interesting. So she goes on to say, you need to understand this fact because if you ever catch your man having had sex with another woman, you shouldn't throw away a long-term relationship without doing a careful evaluation. If it really looks like he was only in it for the sex, and if you both love each other, you may be able to save your relationship. I'm certainly not advocating sticking around with a philanderer, the guy who does it over and over again, but in some instances, you'd be better off forgiving and forgetting. And it just says if you need help with this, seek out a marital counselor. But she goes on to say there's a reason men hire prostitutes. It's literally just about sex for them. She says emotions are different for men than women, and that for them it's just a physical release oftentimes. Do you agree?
100% agree with this. I've said it for years. My friends have heard me say it. I think I'm not saying it makes it unpainful. I'm not at all saying I'm in favor of affairs, but I totally believe that you can absolutely be head over heels in love with your spouse, love your spouse, go have a wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and it's just sex. Maybe I'm a guy like that, and you don't want to see that person again. It's in the moment. I just believe they're two totally different things. I guess obviously what makes it painful is
the lie around it.
The lie around it.
it.
Yeah.
That's why swinging is so different because it's consensual.
Yes.
It's both people know. They're both involved usually, and there's no lying.
No.
So that's why
Deceitfulness is.
Yes, I think it's the deceitfulness. Because that's why women say all the time it's just as painful when there's an emotional affair. It's the lie around it.
Yeah, it's the lie. It's really not the act, the physical act.
Right.
You agree?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I'm the oldest of 6, and my parents were married for 25 years, and he cheated on her with a stripper, and then ended up leaving her for the stripper, and it ruined my entire family. And
Your father left your mom for a stripper?
Yeah.
Okay.
They were on Dr. Phil, that's how.
Oh, no way! Oh, wow, they were on Dr. Phil.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's how crazy.
What year
I mean,
was
that's
that?
like the movie. Like no one actually knows. That, but we all use that as an example. And
Is he still with the stripper?
Nah.
That
It lasted for a while, but no.
Okay.
And she was a fucking basket case.
Train wreck, huh? Wow.
Nuts.
He had some fun for a little while.
I guess.
Sharon and I are gonna. This is totally slightly off tangent, but I told Sharon I want to go to the. Is it the Cheetah?
Cheetahs, yeah.
Cheetahs, because I've driven by it 500 times. I
Right.
see all these guys going in that look like golf guys. And I just want to go in. I want to see what the scene is like there, what the girls look there. So we need to actually make it happen
I
and
know,
just
we've talked
fucking
about
go.
every
I just
episode.
want to go.
I swear at this point,
I wanna go in.
Cheetahs needs to sponsor us. At this point. Literally meant
I mentioned I'm just so intrigued.
I've been there
I drive
once,
by
and it was with my dad and my sister.
Is it worth it? Should we check
I
that?
don't remember. I was me and my sister were on a 3-day bender, and I don't really remember it.
Okay.
But I know.
Well, we'll let you know
I
because
think
Sharon
it's.
and I are
I
going
think
to
it's
check it out.
just topless. I don't think they do much more than take the
Okay.
tops off the.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I just am intrigued. I don't.
that on
I'm
the
just
beach
sort of.
and
It's
say,
become an obsession, an addiction. I need to get in there. It's my addiction.
Not your addiction until you need to get in there several
I
times.
need to get in there.
The first does not make it an
Right.
addiction. It's just more of a
Okay.
exploration. Yeah. Anyway, the last one, the older a man gets, the more help he needs getting in the direction, which you're not even close to that
Too
yet.
young at 39.
I mean, I'm almost 40 though, and I feel like I've lived 2 lifetimes, really. You know what I mean? And I got to that point where like I went and got my testosterone checked, and it was so fucking low. Like I had to get on testosterone, so I've been on that for a while. And
So a lot of guys.
Is that from the
probably
drugs
drinking and drugs and stuff
yeah.
like that? Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah.
A lot of guys can do testosterone, obviously Viagra, Cialis. And I was complaining because I'm like, okay, what do women have? We don't really have any kind of pill that we can take to increase our sex drive.
Well, people do the pellet now, and actually
Well,
some women are getting
But
testosterone.
I know. I've looked into all that, but
My wife takes something. I forget what the hell it is.
some of this O cream you can put on, and
That's a pill that she takes.
is it a pill?
Yeah.
We need to find out about that.
But
Does it work?
I think so, yeah.
All right, well, after we get off here, give us the skinny. Sharon and I want the pill, and I think all our listeners.
I was going to say, some
too.
of our listeners might want to
Yeah.
know about that too. For sure, we have a lot of female listeners
Yeah.
that
Yeah, we
might
do.
be curious
Right.
because they're tired of their sons being. I mean, their sons. That's a Freudian slip. Their husbands or partners being on Cialis and Viagra and being ready all the time, and they're like, "Hello."
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of I don't know.
You don't want to be rammed for 3 hours, Sharon,
No, not 3 hours. No, well,
from
sometimes
Cialis. That's a long time.
3 hours is a long time.
Yeah.
I could do an hour, but 3.
You're right.
Yeah, an hour
I've
might be
seen
my
it.
max.
I've seen it done.
Yeah.
The 3 hour thing, but yeah, no. All right, so let's see. Our final thing is advice you'd give your younger self. We always ask our.
Yeah, Dave,
Our
what
guest.
advice would you give your
You
younger
had a
self?
couple of other questions though too. What was it? The best and worst thing he's ever done?
Oh, just like, what would you say? You know, obviously, you probably have more than just an absolute one of each, but just to choose one, you know, worst decision you made in your life and a best decision you made in your life, like in a moment.
And
you
one
know,
that we can
like-
put on the air. Maybe one that you'd want to share.
Good God, that's a crazy question. I don't know if I've ever even thought about that.
I just think I think it's a great question because our life is made up of a culmination of bad decisions.
Right.
And great decisions, and you certainly hope that your great decisions outweigh the bad decisions, and your bad decisions aren't enough to land you like dead or in jail or.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I spent time in jail, so I definitely made some bad decisions there, you know, but I would say they culminate into one, you know what I mean? Like, being with my kid's mother might have been the worst decision of my life, but the outcome of having 2 beautiful kids
Okay.
could be the best thing that
Okay.
ever happened to me, you know?
I like that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one.
that's a good one.
Yeah. And advice you'd give your younger self?
Be patient with yourself, you know. Take advice from older people that have been through it. You know, don't be so headstrong, and be kind to others because it always comes back to you.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, I love the listening to older people one because that's just great. I hadn't thought of that, and that's certainly something I wish I had
Yeah, when I
done.
was growing up, like I fucking never wanted to hear shit.
Yeah,
you know,
me
I
either.
thought I fucking knew everything.
Me
You know what I mean? It wasn't until I was older that I realized I was getting
was
so
an
much
idiot, yeah.
fucking amazing knowledge.
Yeah.
Because now we realize what we know that
Right.
these dumb shits who are like
Right.
15 and 20 don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you're in the midst of it,
Yeah.
Right.
man, you think you know everything.
It's crazy.
And you're invincible, right?
Yeah.
Nothing bad's ever going to happen.
Right.
I got this shit all figured out, right?
You always,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we went to, you know, you're in college. It never, ever occurred to me. You know, I lived a nice life, you know, upper middle class, then went to college. My parents paid for it, a big university. It never occurred to me that I would which luckily I didn't, but get a sexual disease or like even worse, get like AIDS or like die or
Yeah, right.
be with a guy who was gonna, you know, be psycho or hurt
Yeah.
me. It never occurred to me
I know.
that with being with different guys.
Yeah. And now you have to be so careful.
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
You don't think about that when you're young, though.
No,
No, you're in the moment. You're having fun.
Like, that guy's hot. Bring it on.
Or that girl's
Right?
hot.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whichever, whatever floats your boat.
Whatever floats your boat, Sharon.
Yeah,
That's it.
exactly. Whatever floats your boat. Well, David, we've loved having you here today.
I love being here.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Without a doubt.
It's so transparent and honest. And
Make sure you guys check out Blest Designs,
Yep.
BLEST.
on Instagram.
Design.
Design on Instagram.
Design no S.
No S.
On Instagram, he's amazing artist.
you.
We may even have you do our mural. I'm
I hope
hoping.
so.
Yeah, that's going to be amazing. So yeah, this has been great. What do we say, Lauren?
Sharon, if he does your mural, how long does that take?
To paint a mural?
Yeah, like how many days will he have to be here?
Do you want to come over and watch? Only if he takes his shirt off again.
We'll have YouTube of Sharon and I sitting outside with a glass of wine while Dave paints
Not a
the mural.
Non-alcoholic wine.
Yeah, non-alcoholic while he paints the wine.
Not a problem at all.
God, we'll be videotaping that, right?
It'll be
Right.
it'll
We'll
take
take
like probably 3 days.
No, that's not bad.
Days, yeah. And you were saying it's harder sometimes in Florida because it's hot, right?
Yeah, I would
Could
probably
be
wait until the
warm.
sun stops hitting it
Yeah.
so hard.
It's not bad right now, though, in the afternoon. Out there. It's kind of nice. So, well, what do we say? Peace out, girlfriends.
Peace out, Girl Scout.
Peace out, everyone. Till next time.